Hello, faithful followers. I'm Spencer Valdez.
And I'm Sean Roof.
Welcome to the all-new Comic Reflections Trade Talk, where we talk trades.
Yep.
This episode, we're going to talk Red Sun, Superman, by Mark Waid, with art by Dave Johnson and Killen Plunkett. So what do you think?
I thought it was good. It was an interesting spin on Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed the essentially extended Cold War setting because it essentially goes through the entire thing, which was very cool.
Yeah.
And Superman was a badass in it. Both good, kind, and bad. It's interesting to see him as the bad guy in it, but he's also the protagonist, so it was a very modern take on Superman. But
was he really a bad guy, do you think?
He, from the outside observer, he would not see himself that way, of course.
Right.
Because he's just doing what's best for everyone else.
You were raised in capitalist America, you imperialist pig.
Well,
You. Of course you were going to see him as kind of the bad guy, but, I mean...
Well, no, it was more so his control in everyone that made him bad, not necessarily the fact that he was Russian.
Okay. So we enter in, and it's basically Superman. Instead of landing in Kansas with Ma and Pa Kent, we land in Soviet Russia, and is raised in
a colony, they say.
Yeah, like a collective, commune thing, which, again, weird to us, but it was Soviet Russia.
Yep.
He's raised as a comrade, and soon develops these powers, and he becomes the kind of Ubermensch that the Soviets were kind of looking for, and he was the one that kind of pioneered the way for the strong Soviet man. We have an example of that in Joseph Stalin.
Yep.
But really, I mean, those kind of men don't really just pop up in a crop of people. They're fairly unique.
No, they don't. And Superman's a good embodiment of that, if you're looking for it. So
Yeah, so he goes and he's kind of raised to this elevated status, which is kind of weird in a Soviet kind of communist government. So
it's strange, but it makes sense with sort of this communist aspect. And you have the one leader where there's Stalin. He's sort of grooming Superman to sort of take his place. So elevating him is sort of the... he was going to be the ultimate leader of the Soviets and probably, hopefully, last forever.
Yeah.
Which is what they were looking for, so...
Yeah. So let's kind of look at Superman from the American perspective here. So when Superman kind of burst onto the scene, it was kind of in this time of need for heroes. We have the heroes that were going off to war, soldiers and stuff from America going off to foreign land to fight this evil Nazi thing.
Yep.
And then the creators pushed all of the American ideals into this one figure, Superman. This idea of truth, justice, the quote-unquote American way, honor, and, you know, just all the good things that America has. And he goes over and punches fascism in the face.
Yep.
And
communism.
Then communism punches that in the face. And so America is able to rise up as a superpower because of Superman. And that's cool.
Yeah.
What's even cooler is the switch where he lands in Soviet Russia and he does all those, he gets all personified by communism, which just blows us away.
Everyone is equal. He will fight for the equality of everyone.
Right. Some cool people showed up.
Yeah.
Would you like to go over those? So obviously Superman.
He's in it. It's kind of about him.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal in Russia. He has his new costume, which is very similar, but he has the hammer and sickle instead of the S, which I thought was very clever.
Yeah, totally.
And there's also this evolving costume throughout it where he looks even more sort of imperial in his attire, which was kind of cool too.
Yeah.
We got Superman, then Batman shows up.
Yeah.
And he is the sort of the wrench in the cog, as he would like to be, where he tries to sort of down with the evil empire that he goes through. And So he's through it. He's throughout the first and part of the second books, I do believe.
Yeah.
And then you have Wonder Woman, who is sort of
Weird in this?
there's a thing between them, but
Yeah, it's weird,
yeah,
right?
it's not the Wonder Woman you're sort of used to.
Yeah, she seems kind of
Reserved in the whole thing.
yeah, I've always pictured Wonder Woman as like cool feminism.
Yeah,
You know,
she's like gonna go out there and do something.
yeah, and this she just seemed kind of
Just sort of sat back.
yeah. She didn't do the like Wonder Woman things
Yeah.
where she was I'm a woman and I'm powerful. It was
I kind of
I'm-
like Superman, so I'm not gonna do anything.
yeah, kind of she was like a teenage girl.
Yeah,
And
it kind of defeated the purpose of Wonder Woman, I think.
Yeah.
A little bit.
and I mean maybe that's what Mark Miller was going for when
Yeah.
he was writing her character.
Entirely possible.
Because this is an Elseworlds book,
Yep.
things change. Let's jump back to Batman real quick.
Okay.
I know you have some thoughts on him. I dug the character. I thought it was an interesting take on Batman.
Yes.
What are your things?
I definitely thought it was a good way to do Batman. The only thing I kind of had a problem with him being Russian, just because I don't know, Batman has a very strong sort of American type pull yourself up by your bootstraps to defeat evil type of thing.
Okay.
Not so much in the financial thing, because he's just straight old money in that department. But the sort of like build your own gadgets and stuff is very American. But I don't know. At first, it rubbed me the wrong way how they sort of like he is a result of sort of Superman's coming. His parents are killed by someone who turns out to be Superman's like right hand man near the end. And I don't know. It was that part rubbed me the wrong way, but Batman worked out perfectly because he sort of was the voice of the people who could not speak type of thing.
Yeah,
Where he
that's
was,
cool.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was very Batman. If Batman turned into a political figure, it would
Right.
definitely be what he was in this.
My only thing was just because Superman is born in Soviet Russia, I don't see how that would change the fact that Bruce Wayne's parents were murdered in America and kind of setting him on this track. I mean, again, it's an Elseworld, so he can do whatever he wants, and it's Mark Miller.
Yeah.
You know, he does his own thing. But yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I love that he kind of really tried to topple this. It's still a totalitarian government. It's still very much a iron fist, and people get tired of that.
Mm-hmm.
And Batman in this got tired of it, and that was cool.
Yeah.
Who else do we have?
Let's see. We have Brainiac is in this. He starts out as sort of the Brainiac that we all kind of know. Although his initial sort of introduction is short-lived, as he is quickly dismantled by Superman as he crashes through a ship and just yanks all his cords out. But then he comes back later, and Superman has turned him into sort of a supercomputer that he is, but fashioned him towards keeping people where he being Superman wants them to be.
Mm-hmm.
But Brainiac being Brainiac is using Superman the entire time.
Right.
Which you find out near the end, and Superman quickly dismantles him then also. Yeah, Brainiac, he is sort of the tool kind of that's being used to continue on the Empire. But then we got on the other side, the American side, America, we have Lex Luthor.
Yes.
Who
I'm going to be honest.
I thought he was awesome.
Yeah, so cool that he was. I mean, you can't have Superman without Lex Luthor.
Nope.
And the fact that Lex Luthor was able to be all that Lex Luthor could be without the shadow of Superman to live in.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
He wasn't necessarily a bad guy. But
quite the opposite. He was trying to get the world straight.
Yeah. He saw the authoritative government that Russia was. He didn't like it. He fought for the American standard. when I think Lex Luthor, I think capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the not Elseworld setting,
Mm-hmm.
I think capitalism do anything to get his.
Mm-hmm.
And in our Superman, that comes across as kind of shady. He's underhand, like backhanded, and just bad.
Yeah.
But here he's fighting for these ideals that are falling apart because of the strength of the Soviet Empire.
But Lex is still Lex, and it's all just to kill Superman.
Right. Yeah. I like that was still part of it. I like that he was like, you know what? Forget this. I got to get rid of this guy. I don't know if his motives were the same as I say our Superman, but I think you guys know what I mean. And so I don't think his motives were the same. I think he saw Superman as this dangerous fellow
instead of just overshadowing him. Yeah.
Right. That he had to, do something with. And his wife,
Lois Lane,
right?
now Lois Luthor.
Yeah.
That was a mind blower.
Yeah, it was, that relationship was extremely interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because, again, I'm going to say our Superman, how much he loves Lois. Always on his mind. Always there to scoop her up as she's falling. Always just there.
And he does at the beginning.
Right?
And there's that spark where Superman's like, holy crap, that's like the coolest chick ever. And then he's just gone.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really see her.
Yeah. And then she marries Lex, and that relationship, it doesn't fall apart. It is a weird dynamic between them. He's more interested in getting farther in his career, getting rid of Superman,
getting rid of Superman.
Yeah, getting rid of Superman. Making himself into the version of himself that he sees in his mind. The greatness that he pictures. He's so obsessed with it, and it just starts to break down that relationship between him and Lois. And, I mean, you really start to feel sorry for her. She's just sad. Towards the end of the book, she's looking just old and haggard and just beat down by her life. I mean, she was a reporter still. She did all that stuff, but it meant nothing in comparison to her husband.
Yeah.
And that's just sad.
And an interesting thing, too, it goes along with why she looks so haggard. Essentially, the roles have been reversed, and the United States is a third world country.
Right, yeah.
Before Lex finally, he gets elected president,
Mm-hmm.
and then essentially he rebuilds America so he can beat Superman.
Yeah.
Which is freaking awesome.
Yeah, totally. We also have my favorite, the Green Lanterns, make an appearance.
All kinds of them.
Yeah.
It's pretty...
Hal shows up with the ring, and the government finds out about the ring, and they're like, how can we harness this to further our campaign against Russia? And so they figure out a way to kind of copy the power of the ring. Maybe not copy the power of the ring, but duplicate the ring itself. And that's just cool.
Yeah.
Again,
all Lex.
Yeah.
He's
totally.
like, oh, I know what this is. It's a weapon.
So we have Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
And he's locked up in
He is a POW.
Yeah.
He is like waterboarded. He lives in a little hut that's submerged.
Yeah.
And so he has sort of seen his fair share of terrible things, and the government decides to recruit him to be this person who's going to beat Superman.
Yeah. And so he has the kind of the Green Lantern Corps with, I think... Carl Reiner and Guy Gardner's in there, and he's, Guy Gardner runs his mouth a little bit.
Yep.
And, I mean, I love all the lanterns, and so it was cool to see them in there.
The army they create of them
Yeah.
is so intense.
It's like this cool version of, like, the Air Force.
Yeah.
And they just all take off, and, yeah, it doesn't work out.
Yeah, and you're thinking, wow, all these Green Lanterns, surely they could stop Superman. I mean, they all focus their minds on keeping him secure. Nope, he just mows through them like they're paper.
Yeah.
They get him stopped for maybe 4 or 5 seconds, but then he's just like, oh no, and you're all dead.
And then finally we have the appearance of Bizarro Superman, which is pretty rad.
Yeah,
again,
I like the way they did this one.
Lex Luthor creates a kind of clone-ish of Superman.
Yeah.
And, I mean, obviously it doesn't work out.
It's like that Superman movie with Christopher Reeves. I don't remember which one. I think it was like 4, where they send a sample of Superman's hair and a bunch of like other stuff, and they shoot it to the sun, and it makes a clone. Yeah, kind of like that, but Bizarro's Superman still looks like Bizarro Superman.
Yeah, and he doesn't really work out again.
No. But Bizarro Superman does save the USSR as the United States has launched an attack.
Right, yeah.
And then Superman talks Bizarro Superman out of helping them, and that's how Bizarro Superman dies. He just sort of takes the nuclear weapon up into space and lets himself die.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad.
What a terrible clone.
Yeah.
I'd be so upset if I were Lex.
Yeah. So let's talk about our overall thoughts again of this trade.
Okay.
For me, this is just a classic trade that if you're a comic book fan, you should read. Just because it gives you an insight into one of the most celebrated characters in comic book history. You get to see what could have been. And that's always fun. Mark Millar did a brilliant job. He ties things together throughout the few books, and you're just like, oh yeah! In parts that are just, you don't understand how Superman is going to get past it, how America is going to survive. I mean, that was always in the back of my mind. How is America going to get through this?
Yep.
And I think that's because that's where we're from. What did you think?
Yeah, this was fantastic. Soviet sort of setting is always interesting, and to see the pinnacle of American superhero back in the day, maybe outside of, Captain America, but sort of the first real attempt at America incarnate, seeing him raised in the Soviet system, and then it's great.
It kind of hurts a little bit.
It does, because Comrade Superman,
Because he is America personified.
Yep.
And it hurts when we see that.
Yeah.
What could have been.
Yeah, it sucks when you see him sort of take over Soviet Russia, and then he takes over the world,
right.
Except for the United States.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty rad. Also, another thing that's kind of cool is Superman sort of keeps trophies, so you should pick this up, and on one specific page, you have Darkseid is sort of sitting there as a trophy in this large room. He also has the Titanic. And I'm guessing he has the ship that he came to Earth from.
Maybe.
I don't know, he's got all this cool stuff in this room. But yeah, this is definitely one that if you don't buy it, you at least go to your local library and
support the local library.
Yeah. You pay for it, so why not go check it out?
That's right. So I think that's it for us. You have anything else to add?
Nope. Pick it up.
Yeah, thanks for listening.